Hey everyone, welcome to Critter Recaps. Today we'll be recapping the fourth and final episode of the Exandria Unlimited Calamity campaign DM'd by Brennan Lee Mulligan. The episode is titled Fire and Ruin. Beware of spoilers and hold on to your boots. We start where we ended last time, in the explosion that rotted the tree and allowed the Lord of Hells to step into Exandria. What happened in that moment to the Ring of Brass? This might get a little graphic, so trigger warning. Patia's arm, which was stuck in the tree, rips off at the elbow as she gets blasted backwards. In a millisecond, so are the others in the room. Most of their magical items blow up where they have them. The blows render loquacious Zerxus and Nidus unconscious. Patia immediately dies from the impact, while Laren goes flying out of the room and stays conscious. Cerrit, as we remember from last episode, is not here. He went to find his kids. Time stops in the arboreal calyx and Zerxus gasps for air, and sees, rather than blowing up, his holy avenger has rusted and crumbled. He sees the Lord of Hells enter Exandria, but in the fire he can see another form, less magnificent and in pain. Zerxus reaches out to it and pulls it out of the fire. The form of the wounded Lord of Hells he spoke with in the Halls of Prophecy is now the only form that finds its way into Exandria. Zerxus tries to finish the atonement ceremony he once started, and as he finishes up, Zerxus finds that nothing has changed.
The ritual of Evandrin, the resurrection, it didn't work because you tried to resurrect him, but he wasn't dead.
Right.
You're trying to atone me, and I didn't do anything wrong.
And he stabs you through the heart.
I'll tell you why I spit on your forgiveness. I'll tell you why I loathe your redemption. To reach a hand down to somebody, they need to be beneath you! And I'm beneath nobody!
Zerxus' only way back to life, a mace the Lord of Hells just made from the female devil who took his blood. Laren teleports away from here to a secret place where she can follow what is happening. There she hears the Lord of Hells speak of his plans to Vespin Chloris. He's to release the primordials that are housed in the mountain. The Archdevil himself will deal with Vasselheim. Laren relays that information to Cerrit as best she can. Cerrit notices a lot of death and destruction happening in the city underneath him, but he has his children on his mind and rushes home. Both his kids made it there safely, and Cerrit convinces them to take the stones. In a heart-wrenching scene, he promises to find them and breaks the stones in their hands. They vanish. Then he reminisces about the time he spent working when he could have spent it with his kids. After lamenting on this a bit, he tries to find Laren, aware of the demise of some of the Ring of Brass. Zerxus' spirit form travels through the astral realm, where he meets Evandrin, his husband. Evandrin has been here, trying to find a way back for over 7 years. Evandrin explains how he, as the first knight before Zerxus, was to brave the danger of the first astral layrite Laren created. When he had come back, it wasn't the tree killing him, it was Exandria. The tree was trying to push something of another world away, protect the world, and Evandrin no longer belonged there. Evandrin desperately wants to protect Zerxus, but Zerxus has but two options. He cannot stay here. Move on, or go back by grabbing the mace close to him. In the end, it is to save Elias, and because he believes in redemption, that he grabs the mace, becoming a devil himself. As Zerxus steps back into Exandria, an infernal script starts writing itself on the mace. Vespin Chloris, no longer seeing him as a threat, shuffles closer. Zerxus grabs him and uses a cleansing touch on him. A now more human Vespin Chloris acts fast, slowing down time, thanking Zerxus for this moment of respite, and changing the contract Zerxus has with the Lord of Hells, giving him hours instead of seconds. Vespin explains how and why he failed and turned into this abomination. As he finds himself slipping away again, Vespin Chloris teleports out of there, giving them more time. Zerxus revives Loquacious and Patia and heals Nidus. The group reconvenes and argues. They decide to go to the source, the Hall of Prophecy. Nidus dispels the magic circle around Carwin, the first mad oracle. She heals them a bit in gratitude and spews another prophecy.
When crowned fire and a throned earth stride forth to join ancient war anew, then mother and father shall fall to the hands of their imprisoned kin, and all the stars will weep until the death of light for lost Exandria, whose every ashen breath will wish for death, and never knowing peace shall stumble evermore to seek in vain the end of horror without name.
This time the group knows this is about two primordials who are locked up inside Avalir. They cannot land, meaning they could try and stop the landing in 2 hours without any knowledge about navigating Avalere, or they can try and use Laren's astral layrite to teleport the creatures to another plane. No matter what would happen to Avalere, if they can save Exandria in the process, many of them will be redeemed. There they split up and agree to reconvene when Laren is ready to start the transfer. Patia walks to the Archsept and snatches her library from her grandfather's statue. Together with her orb, she realizes that holding knowledge is nothing if nobody can use it. She teleports both her orb and the miniature real library to Cerrit's daughter. Loras shows up, almost gloating. Eldamir the Wise, a member of the highest political board of Avalere, asks Patia that the Ring of Brass could make sure that the people sacrifice themselves for the city, and the possessions of that political board to be picked up. Patia assures him they know what they're doing. Nidus heads for the Golden Scythe. He tells trusted advisors to help the people and get far from here. Nidus tells them human life is vastly more important than worldly possessions. Not agreeing, one of his advisors stabs him in the back. Bleeding but alive, Nidus turns around and stabs his former friend through the chest. His aide Alessander then reluctantly assumes command and sends their ships to save the populace, one of which goes to evacuate the Sorcerers Academy. Nidus goes to his taxmen and activates them. He finds infernal runes on some of them and 4 of them are missing. This doesn't bode too well, but the taxmen join the fight on the side of the people of Avalere. Loquacious and Arya try to make a late night broadcast as a gate opens for Loquacious. The matriarch of the Seelie court opened these gateways for all her children, a way to get out of Exandria. Loquacious refuses to leave the world and the people he loves, and gets ready for his broadcast, when Loras of the Weaver's Mask enters the room. He tells Loquacious to tell the people of Avalere to sacrifice themselves for the city. Loquacious agrees, and in a moment of distraction, the news anchor encases Loras in a wall of force. He runs a special news program, urging everybody to flee. Changing into Eldamir the Wise off camera, he commands the administrators to go down fighting. People leave in all manner of skyships, the administration stays, a bit of hope flickers across Avalere. In the ground city of Cathmoira, Anais Furice very stealthily following the trail of Zerxus, who looks for his son. In a short but sweet exchange, we see Elias meant to send a spell guide to him, but didn't. Zerxus gives his journal, so Elias may know who his fathers were. Zerxus commands the devils and evil clerics to lay down their weapons! Down in Cathmoira, the dangers subside as they follow his command, and the druids of the Gaudrashari make portals so people can leave anywhere. Laren starts working on her life's work again, but this time she has 30 minutes to do it. The Ring of Brass reconvenes to see this through. Mere moments before Avalere touches Cathmoira and releases the primordials within, mere moments before the astral layrite might do what it should, the door explodes. Vespin, Chloris, and 4 taxmen come in. Most of the Ring of Brass's power is focused on Vespin, but Nidus' magical dragon and Zerxus try to keep the entrance clogged so no other taxmen can enter. Laren chooses to make sure the primordials are banished. Avalere be damned. Nidus' dragon is the first to fall. Zerxus looks at his devilish hands and lets go of the taxman, running towards Vespin Chloris. The taxmen get him in his attempt to run and he falls unconscious. His husband's voice rings out from his celestial griffin that grabs the taxman and teleports out. Loquacious hopes to save his ex-wife. If she falls, the world falls. Vespin runs forward and summons powerful energies that are sure to kill Laren. Cerrit takes this moment to take one last swipe at him.
Hawks out.
Natural 20!
Yes! What?
Roll double damage if you'd be so kind.
Vespin Chloris falls at the hands of Cerrit the Side Warden, burns up, and Laren gets to continue her work for another few seconds. Nidus understands Zerxus took these blows willingly, and he gets ready to die while making sure his best friend dies too. He congratulates Cerrit, inspiring him, as it will be up to him to defend Laren, Patia, and Loquacious. The taxmen advance, and Nidus falls. Patia gets blasted, but unleashes all of the wisdom of the Tree of Names at once, raising the power levels of the city to 100%. Laren gets blasted too, and would have died were it not that Loquacious was focusing in on her, ready with a healing spell. Laren, it was do or die, and as Avalere docks, she teleports the primordials away from there. The Lord of Hell's voice booms, and angrily he makes sure that the city and the entire continent are to be destroyed. Zerxus, believing in redemption, does not die and burns away to wherever Vespincloras went as the day breaks. He sees Elias on Tempest flying into Evandrin's arms. Nidus hears his brother's voice in his head as he's dying. "Did I escape? All will be well." Patia remembers Cerrit's words, "Selfish, selfish, selfish." As she bleeds out, she hears him pick up his sending stone. His daughter, wondering why there's an orb and a tiny library in her hands. Patia smiles as she draws her last breath. Cerrit tells his kids he should have been there for them, and he promises he's going to try his best. His kids are safe, that's all that matters. Loquacious and Laren show their love for each other as Cerrit gets ready to try and get out of there. Inspired by some of Nidus' last words, helped by Laren and Loquacious, Cerrit starts flying through the collapsing labyrinth and just makes his way out. The continent of Dominus no longer exists in modern Exandria. All that remains is the chain of islands known as the Shattered Teeth. The Calamity will last for centuries, and at the end 2/3 of living beings on Exandria will be dead, many in its first moments. The Primordials, Raushan and Kamort, bound to the ley line and sent through as many realms as the Leyrite could manage, are unmade, because they don't join the Betrayers. Though it will take centuries of calamity, one day the people of Exandria will triumph. Wow, what a story. I had to swallow a tear during this episode. Thank you to Critical Role, Brennan and the guest players for a great time and a great story. I very much enjoyed Ebria's character Laren's whole arc. Which was your favorite? Don't forget to check out Critical Role live on Twitch and YouTube every Thursday from 7 PM Pacific, or catch any of the rebroadcasts for other time zones. When crowned fire and the throned earth stride forth to join ancient war anew, then mother and father shall fall to the hands of their imprisoned kin, and all the stars will weep until the death of light for lost Exandria, whose every ashen breath will wish for death, and never knowing peace, shall stumble evermore to seek in vain the end of horror without name.